Weston Rawlins. Get it! Guardian. Nothing. When he roll along the window, Coolie. Guardian, will you type anything? No? No. But that is the Guardian that had put a headline. Chutney rising. Watch now. They never expected that there would be a political party in this country that would rip at all them sacred cows. They never expected that there would be a political party in this country with a leader that could challenge the drug traffickers, the money launderers that build empires in this country. They never thought that there would be a political party in this country that could challenge you on all your bullshit, expose the leaders of them other two parties, pull them low for you to see. You're holding your head and ball. You don't know what else to say. You're trying to defend the fact. But that led this country for 58 years. A 2-year-old girl child get murdered by a demon. Blow she away. I see Ian Smart. Where you, Ian? Mr. XAG Smart son. Where you? Outside in the savannah, I ain't seen you. Cause monkey know what street to climb. Cause you know them real gangster. Yes, you will go missing. In Trinidad and Tobago. You ain't going and pull no gangster hat. You know that. Use one of them fake overnight. Suddenly appear on the scene, make a name for yourself for 1 minute. Muwakil. Where are you? A 2-year-old girl. A demon kill she. Where are you? Fuad say all lives matter. Black lives matter. Fuad, what about the black lives that July 27, 1990, blow up a policeman, shoot up a policeman and blow up police, kill a set of black lives. What about those black lives, those innocent black lives that your father and his posse killed, Fuad? You think we forget that? You think we forget that? Kill a set of people for a piece of land. You think we forget that? Eh? Telling people it's because of Gene Miles. Nobody wanted Abu Bakr to come and shoot nobody for Gene Miles. Nobody sent for he. You think we forget? Your friends forget. But when you're coming out to talk, like you have some moral authority, at least account for your history. Go to Gary. Go to Gary. And every single day, you must include in your prayers, thank you, that you get away. Who's the rest of them? Who's the rest of them in the savannah to march for George Floyd? Georgie boy, Black Lives Matter, but not this little black girl. Not this little 2-year-old black girl. Her life don't matter. It don't matter at all. No, it don't matter. And in this country of convenient activists, a man come on a thread today and tell me, Mr. Alexander, see you talking about, I see you call no meet, they ain't call no march. And somebody lists all the march I march in my life, all the little black children, all the black people, everything I ever organize a march for. And he hush him out and run. You see, I don't have to organize a march for everything. Some all had to organize too. But that's not the point. The point is, if you're out and don't sweat for nobody fever. If you wasn't one of them in the savannah, don't come out and say that you want to defend them. And don't lie on the thread and tell we that you apply for permission to march, because the commissioner put out a post today that say nobody apply for no permission to march. So you lie. You lie. The other black child, her life don't matter. Her life don't matter. And you see, people going to continue to point this out, the hypocrisy, because it is those same hypocrites that going and vote PNM and could justify voting PNM. 5,000 new illegal guns in the country to make Black Lives Matter less, because the vast majority of people doing the killing and being killed are black lives. So one black life snuffed out in a shot, and the other black life, police looking for them to put them in a cage or put them in a ground. Oliver say he has serious mental issues. Ian, very honest truth. I don't know how that sentence constructed, Oliver, by a vowel at least. But if that is true, his parents should put him in an institution or at least hang a warning sign around his neck, because that police officer could have put a bullet in him and it would have caused riot in the country at that moment, in that day, because he would have been a convenient black life that got to matter. You see, it is the hypocrisy of the media who ain't yet about Rowley and his defamation. A woman says she thinking about suing me, front page. Nobody ain't contact me, nobody ain't contact my lawyer, nothing. But Guardian had thing to type. Guardian had thing to type. But I want Matt to hear this. You didn't think we'd survive. You didn't think we'd get bigger. You didn't think we'd get stronger. You didn't think we'd get we own watches and money. You didn't think we'd be able to fight back. Now, Black Lives Matter and COVID-19 gave the media a little bump in the world, but media dead. Traditional media, dead. I am media. The media that the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago wants to give freedom of the press to, it is me they're talking about. Because when I put it out in the public space, I am the one challenging the sacred cows. I am the one pulling at the thieves. I am the one exposing the white-collar bandits, not the Guardian, not the Express. By the time I put it in the public space, I remember when David West had to ask about a story that was years old. And he said, how come this end up in the media now? Because Phillip Edward Alexander put it on social media. When Maxi Coffee and the $3 million he and Rowley thief was trying to get away, it's only Phillip Edward Alexander dragged them out the Zandoli hole and make them talk and go and stunt on CNC3 morning, bro. No problem at all. Watch now. If it's one thing I know, as Chucky say, I didn't tongue too long and tongue too long. I have seen those who have glorified themselves today hold their head and ball tomorrow. No problem. No problem at all. I'm telling you, go where all the richest people bury and dig it up and see if the angels they're wiping their forehead and keeping them sleeping a restful sleep, or if it's cockroach or earthworm eating their ass. Go and see. Go and check. The same media that avoid Keith Rowley's defamation of Gabriel Farrier. For Gabriel Farrier speaking his truth about how he felt. In a country where the lowest of the low in Beaton, that you're jailing for skating water and cussing you, no problem. Time longer than twine. Long rope for maga goat. Just now, Fitzgerald Hines, you're all over town looking for a handout and a brief to try and pay that mortgage in Hillsborough. But we go wait. We go wait. The poor people in this country that only disadvantage and make a fool of, they have a champion now. They wake up now. So let them try and send every 2x4 lawyer and use every little opportunity you get to try and trip me up. But it's not going to work. You know why? Because every single time that I and we have been attacked, we got stronger. Every single time. Every single time somebody try to take advantage of us and do us wrong, we get stronger. We get stronger. I'm going to prove that point. I'll prove that point now. We get stronger every single time. Every single time. When they do we wrong, get strong, unbound, unbought, and unafraid.
You have reached
they have a very good chance. He is watching this live video now. And he is seeing my number on his phone, and he does not have enough balls or backbone to answer it, because he knows he cannot defend what he has said. He knows that. He knows that he lied, and he knows that time longer than twine. And he knows that if he ever had to answer for what he said about me, he couldn't. And I want him to see my number on his phone. I want him to hear it ringing on this live. And I want him to sit down there and pretend he have enough manners. Talk to me. You there?
Hello.
Talk to me, brother. How you going?
I'm going good. How are you going?
So far, so good. Ladies and gentlemen, former deputy political leader of the Progressive Empowerment Party, Anthony Defoe, live. Tony, you don't need to record anything. Everything being recorded here for you. How is everything going since you joined the UNC?
Since I joined the UNC?
Well, since you appear on Brian Stone's show to bad talk the Progressive Empowerment Party and say the UNC always had Anthony Defoe, for those asking, Anthony Defoe, former deputy political leader of the Progressive Empowerment Party. Since you left and you went on Brian Stone's show and Mama Coco show, Tony, how things going?
What are you trying to prove right now, brother? You're trying to put on a show for your viewers? This is what this is all about?
Yep. Defend
I am not part of your circus anymore, brother.
Defend your actions,
sorry,
bro. Defend your
I
actions.
am not part of your circus anymore.
Tony.
Hey.
Tony, you and I ever had a disagreement, boy, in life?
If you want to have a conversation with me...
No, you can't say that, Tony. You record me and share it with the world. So share this with the world. Let's talk for the world to hear. You and I have not spoken. You and I have not spoken since you recorded me. I want to ask you a question. You and I ever had a disagreement in life, bro? In life, since you know me, you and I ever had a cause to disagree? When you're playing, man, can't deal with real man. You have to hide and record. Yeah? So I want to show you. They have nobody outside there. Have any files, any talk, could intimidate me in any way. I have to be conscious always of the fact that I am a political leader of a political movement, and I have to carry myself with some measure of decorum, even though I'm fighting a nuclear war to try and save a country from itself. And I want you to see, there is nobody at all that I wouldn't confront and have a conversation with. If you want to have things to say about me, let me say it live in front of everybody. What was it? What do you think? You agree? You disagree? Because I sat down there for the duration of my calls, and Mr. Gentleman and his girlfriend record me and then share it surreptitiously. Thieves in the night. But this is me talking to you live. For all the people you used to stunt for before. The only people that know your name, they know your name because of me. So I wanted to show that the name man and this play man. Who else you want to talk to? You know Dr. Brian Stone? Because I tell you, you want to talk to Anil Roberts? All of them who outside there, playing man, they ain't real man. There's man like G.I. Joe is man. When they have on clothes, it look real. When they take it off, no balls between their legs. And to be unbound, unbought, and unafraid in this environment and stand up for this country requires that you have belly, balls, and backbone. Trinidad and Tobago is not, a man told me today, a back to square one. Because you keep calling the country a latry and a cesspool. I say, okay. A rose by any other name would still be as sweet. What would soothe your sensibilities? Tell me, how do I refer to this failed nation? I will do that just to keep you happy, to get you to move off of square one. Because if square one, look my boy call back. Look my boy call. Yeah, Tony, we still live. Yeah, Tony, we still live. Games. But dial. No, they're not but dial. You know. They charge up one another to say, we call on Johnny. But they realize, once you see the play field level, you can't jam me. Once you see you're not recording me surreptitiously, you're not hiding to record me, to cut and chop a conversation, to make it sound a certain way, so you could distract others. That's what they try to do. Tony hung up twice, not once, twice. He called back the second time and hung up. He didn't know what he wanted to say. He just wanted to see if I would answer. And I will answer every single time. Every single time. And it's not that I dislike Tony still, you know. But I want to show him that those who lead in him astray, those who lead in him down a garden path, those who ride in his back, like a bareback donkey, now come now, man, Tony. You're playing with me now. When you're serious. Those who ride in the back like a bareback donkey. Tell me, you serious or is games?
Yeah.
You serious now?
I'm glad you're live.
You serious now?
Yeah.
You serious now?
So you're gonna have to both of us.
You serious now? No. Wait. Tony. This is not Jagabat Airwaves, bro. We ain't talking to that animal ever again. Only you in that hell for the rest of your life. We has nothing to do with that. If there's a muppet for a little girl, partner, fix yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Don't call me to have your little muppet talk for we. A woman could make or break you. That ain't no lie. I feel sorry for the boy. Everything mash up. UNC ain't want them either. They outside there posting about COP. COP getting off of COP boat. They outside there trying to get on to COP. Because UNC ain't want them. UNC sent to tell Brian Stone, I ain't know who tell you that you could be signing up people on we behalf. We have no interest in Anthony Defoe or any of his relatives. Even his stepchild that you say running the youth arm could be losing the position because they ain't like the level of Bacchanal that Tony exposed them to. Big man thing. When I call you, talk. When you call back the second time and I answer, talk. Don't go and bring your little Jagabat squad. I'm not for that. That is for the Jagabats in the road and not for me. I made you deputy political leader. When you had nothing. When you brought nothing to the conversation, I did that. And everybody asking the same question. Tony, why you had to bring your girlfriend to talk for you? Why is she talking for you all over social media anyway? That done. The succubus has fight all his battles. Listen, at some point, bills have to get paid. At some point, bills have to get paid. And that's when it's get different. That is when people get different. Unbound, unbought, unafraid. No, I know that's not his wife. I know that. I have nothing else to add to that. But when you want to talk, be man and talk. When you had called me on the phone, I was talking while you was recording. So to all you could go and play games. I want to play the whole recording for the country to hear. Uncut. Anyway, and I want to show and demonstrate clearly and without a shadow of a doubt, there is nothing and nobody I'm going to sweat for. Nothing and nobody. Every day, I look at my little family and think, this country may be its own worst enemy. It is my family that tells me, fight for it, Dad. Fight for it, son. It is my father and my family that tells me, you reach here, when you leave, if you have to leave, if you don't win, they can't say you didn't try. You fight everything and everybody. You did better than any other political movement in this country. You didn't just step up and stand up and talk about what was wrong. You teach the people. A man named Maurice Noons called me last night and said, boy, Phillip, the kind of education you educate this country, they could never get that in school. And people that say I song vex, I vex. You know why I vex? Because I am the one that people coming to. I am the one that people coming to with their stories. I am the one. When they can't get nothing from no government, 38,000 people out of 1.4 million people get a little bite at the grant. The rest, the stuff in the friends and financiers' hands. Where do we go from here? We, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, decide if we're going to reset this nation, if we're going to reboot this republic. There is no other way forward. You need to put somebody in office as strong as I am to go down in all them Zandoli hole and uproot all them political Zandoli whose job it is to just facilitate corruption. When man tell you that there are people in this country walking around who buy the license, yes, because license for sale. When there are people walking around who tell you that the shipment just get stuck on the port and other people's shipment passing, yes, because that for sale. When they tell you at the back door of the medical science complex and any of the hospitals, when one company shipment reach, people coming outside to offload it off the van themselves. When others come, the doors close, nobody there. We can't receive it. We've created a broken country where we underpay our employees in the public service and leave them as grist for the corruption mill. So when people come and tell them, boy, you don't have to be working so hard, you know. Come to work at the crack of noon, take an hour for lunch and leave at 1. And we will make sure your job's safe. And we will pay you. How much they paying you now? 6,500. Boy, I will double that, boy. I will that's what you're hearing. That's what you're hearing. A member of my family, a businessman, he said, boss, 2 of my people needed heavy tea licenses. And the only way I was getting them heavy tea licenses is if I pay a bribe. That's what he tell me. I had to take his word for it. But the fact of the matter is, and I had to say to him, how do you justify paying the licenses, paying the bribe? He said this to me. He said, if I don't pay the bribe, my business closed down. How do I feed my family? And that becomes the conundrum for a lot of people in our country this corrupt. So Kid Rowley, the only thing that bat him out his crease is when a new level of society says the PNM and the UNC are the cancers that have ruined this country. So when Gabriel Farrier, head of the Chamber of Commerce, says it in a businessman's WhatsApp thread and nobody disagrees, worse, the Chamber of Commerce still has neither accepted Gabriel Farrier's resignation nor asked for it. That means the Chamber of Commerce is having a problem where they do not disagree with what Gabriel Farrier said. And they do not agree that in a democracy where free speech is in an enshrined right, that Gabriel Farrier should have had to retract his position to please a prime minister who threw a dictatorial tantrum, who's sitting down there holding his 2 hands because he and Captain Iraqi, just want to get back in office and finish tightening the screws. You see, what they couldn't finish in the first 5 years, they know they're going to need a next term. So they teeth out a little bit and they're holding it, ready to, hey, you voting for me? Hold that. Where you are, a maxi taxi? Hold that. Where you are, a hotel? Hold that. A church? Look some. That's the game they're playing. Taking public funds, my funds, your funds, treasury funds, borrowing from IDB and fixing this and fixing that to make friends that the same people who they're giving it to have to go back and pay. I taking credit for a loan that I giving you that you have to pay back to me. The man's so bright. The man's so bright. Rowley and them. The bandits behind the PNM. The bandit clan. And Phillip was supposed to get scared and run. Phillip was supposed to duck and run. No. All of that, boy, I ain't signed up for that. But you see, this 1/8 nigga, yeah, my mother, father, black. So I could say that. Syrian, Portuguese, Indian, nigga. Me. Call me what I want. I went to St. Mary's College where I was too white to be black and too black to be white. I was in a race by myself. I was a nowhereian. But like Forrest Gump, God creates a space and a place for me to learn, for me to feel. For me to feel. I was growing up. I grew up in O'Connor Street, boy. I grew up in O'Connor Street in Woodbrook. And I'm having a conversation with Mark Edgill, one of the senior men on the real estate board, I think now. And Mark talking about race and things, and I tell Mark, I say, Mark, you and I grew up on a street where we were inculcated with values as children, where race didn't matter. The rest of the country, a lot of it, unfortunately it does. But then after that comment I made on Mark's wall, I got to thinking. The people on that street who were not as pink-skinned as me. Because you see, I look real brown from the sun, but if you see my bikini line, it's very white. So I look very brown from the sun, but growing up as a little boy, the people who were not as pink-skinned as me, and who didn't have hair straight as mine, I never stopped to think that their world and their interaction with the same world was different. And I never thought of that. I never realized, it didn't cross my mind that outside of Woodbrook, outside of O'Connor Street, where every creed and race did find an equal place. Because O'Connor Street, we had the Youngs, the Cowlessers, the Pushettes, the Edgills, the Reeses, the Eliases, the Alexanders, the Thomases, the Surretts. I mean, we had the Scots on O'Connor Street. We were like the United Nation. That wasn't everybody. That did the Huggins. We had and that was Indian Huggins. We had white. We had black. We had Chinese. We had Indian. We had Syrian. I think there was at least one Jew on the street. We had everybody. And growing up in that environment, I didn't think that the other people who weren't as light-skinned, what black people is called privilege. Everybody who is not black will never understand. Even in Trinidad and Tobago, where if you're black, they have certain advantage in certain things, but those are small things. And in the big things, Sita Broad, Nathaniel, Suchit asked me if I know the Nathaniels. Dexter and Mark Nathaniel. What was this next tall, lanky Nathaniel who was with Henderson Shipping? Yeah, I know all of them. Woodbrook, I grew up in Woodbrook. Anyway, where I was going? I lost my train of thought. But privilege, what to black people is considered privilege. I look and I see the rich people in this country and they have a special kind of privilege and they get things. And I always wondered, and I guess all up the line, people look up at other people who get advantages that they don't have. And it was no 1% street. Don't tie up yourself. It was no 1% street. In the middle of the street was Millie and Ursi house. And I think their last name was Reese and Smith. And they were the poorest people. They had no TV. They had a TV. But I mean, they were literally poorest people in the street. Their house was where, if you go Morvino now and they have a car park on the street, that is where Millie house was. And this is where it was at the community center for the street. So no, it was no 1% street. And there was every race on that street, but there wasn't much wealth. And I grew up during the heart of the recession. So I came of age in a real catch-ass time in Trinidad, the real recession, not this fake one that call money friends make up. But the point is that everybody looks up at everybody else. I mean, I am a student of history. Every single day I learn something new. Every single day I learn something new. But this saying about you cannot know unless you walk a mile in another man's shoes, you could never know how he feels. It's true. You could never know what they're dealing with unless you walk a mile in their shoes. And there's so much history to go back to, and then they have Western history and African history and Middle Eastern history, and because for some reason something changed in the world, because black skin was the most powerful people in the world. When the whites in Europe were still living in caves, Africa, North Africa, was the heart of civilization in the world. So, I mean, something changed along the way, and I'm not sure what it was. I mean, China is China today because China had a policy, and Hong Kong, the reason Hong Kong became a British colony was because China said they didn't want the British in China, so they will meet them at Hong Kong and trade with them. And that's why Hong Kong remained one of the world's largest trading places. It is where the East literally met the West, because the Chinese thought the British and the Europeans had lice. They didn't like the bay, they used to smell stink, and they didn't like it. They didn't like it. The whites invented guns, that's what changed, maybe. Maybe that's what changed. I mean, Chinese invented gunpowder. Marco Polo took gunpowder from the Chinese. I think the Italian Marco Polo, the Italian explorer. Somebody will correct me and tell me the truth about that. But something changed. The Africans, because Egyptians are not white people, regardless of how Hollywood portrays them. The Egyptians that had the Jews as slaves, they were black. So the first real slave owners in recorded history were black people. But somewhere along the road, something changed. And I don't know if it is the greed of the expansion into the Western world, because once Once you could subjugate humans and control them in bulk and get them to work for you, because that's the whole business model behind banking and empire building, is to get people to do the work and you pay them for the work and you enjoy the profits. Harry Hunt is talking to somebody, but it can't be me because those are kind of like capital letters, and that would mean that he's lost and he's looking for another wall to speak on. But trying to understand how the world got to here, how it got to the point where the Africans that were first in charge of the then modern world, how they ended up on the bottom rung. And you know what's doubly hard to understand? What's doubly hard to understand is continental Africa, that landmass. You see, continental China was a lot like what Africa was before the Europeans finally went in there and tore it apart into colonies. And those colonies continue to this day as independent or separate countries in a continent that is Africa. China was unified in a one China policy, and you were given two choices. You either join one China or they're burning it down, or they will burn your village down. Harry, who are you arguing with? We're having a conversation on the thread. I don't know who you're arguing with, you know. I don't think anybody's talking any racism on the thread, so chill out. Pump your brakes a little bit. If I see anybody talking anything overtly racism, I will delete them. Egypt was black because Moses blended with them. I don't know what that means. Harry or Sukdeo. Who is Sukdeo? Harry is replying to Sukdeo. Well, when I see him again, we will delete him. Satish is there, so Satish will delete him. Yeah? Alright, so remember saying Sukdeo, Haradeo. Hadassah Charles McLeod, I'm not seeing him, so just click on his name, give me a link, WhatsApp, message it to me on Facebook, and I'll block him. Yeah? Anyway, back on point. The continent of Africa is the wealthiest place in the world. Without continental Africa right now, there's no diamonds and gold for industry. There's no rare earth metals that build cell phones, and all of the scientific development that's going on in the world right now. All of it coming out of Africa. All of it coming out of Africa. Yeah, okay, I get it. Everybody giving me the message that Harry arguing with Sukdeo, but I don't need that distracting the rest of the thread. That's not Harry's job. That's my job. Not to argue, to just remove him. If somebody being no Kami, that's not how it works when the live is live. I'll be able to see the link after. Copy his name, save it as a link, share it to me as a WhatsApp, as a Facebook message, and I will block him if he goes in. Dave Lux, you're on the page and you see all this bacchanal going on your head. Deal with it yet? Deal with it for me, please. Yes, so back on point. And the whole of Europe and the whole of North and South America could fit in continental Africa. What the world is waiting on, what the world needed, was for, you know what I'm going to do? I'll start over.